Welcome back to the Breakfast Brief, the show where I make food and talk about the news. Today, Donald Trump had quite the embarrassing moment at a speech over the weekend. With that being said, let's get cracking. Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. And if you're not, I'm gonna do my best to make it better. Unfortunately, we do have a little wrench in that equation, which is a lot of Trump clips. So within the context of that, we'll try to make the most of it. He spoke over the weekend, a bunch of clips to show you from that speech. The first is one of the things Trump really likes to do is brag about taking this cognitive test. Now, it happened to be, he doesn't add this note, a dementia screening test, a very simple one, but he thinks it's so incredible that he aced it, as he says. And this is something, someone bragging about being cognitively there and acing a dementia screening test that no cognitively there person has ever done. So first clip here where he tries to say, you know, this Dr. Ronnie Jackson is the actual name, gave this test to me, but one mistake there.
Dr. Ronnie Johnson, does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor. And he said I was the healthiest president he feels in history. So I liked him very much immediately.
Yeah, so if you're gonna brag about how cognitively sharp you are and acing a cognitive test, maybe getting the name of the Republican congressman who used to be the White House doctor, a story you've repeated so many dang times. So he said Ronnie Jackson so many times as we've watched on this show. Getting the name wrong, not helping your case. But I do want to go through, like I said, some other moments as well as we start this new week. Play this next one, Trump on electric tanks.
They want to make them now electric so that when you go into enemy territory and you obliterate the enemy and you knock down and those tanks are firing, you do it in a environmentally friendly way. The problem with the army tanks, like cars and like trucks, the problem is that you would have to bring a battery pack along. You're going to pull it like a little wagon, like a child pulls a wagon. So they want to build a army tank, but you know, the battery is very big and very heavy, much heavier than a thing called diesel, much heavier than diesel fuel. And you got to see this tank. It's like a wagon, and there's a big thing that is...
Yeah, so Trump and electric stuff, obviously he's wrong about the logistics. If that's even a push that's going on right now, I'm honestly not sure. But I play that for you because he seems to be fixing. I saw that Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger said something to the effect of, dude, what? And that's definitely not how they would implement such a vehicle. But it reminded me of a moment that went so viral of Trump specifically being upset with the concept of electric boats. You know where this is going. Here's a reminder of this clip.
So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question. And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery and the battery's now underwater and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are crazy. He said there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand a young woman swimming now really got decimated, and other people too, a lot of shark attacks. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, you know, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
So that raised a lot of red flags in the We'll just say the people who know about the brains were concerned about his brain in that rant. He knows that gasoline-fueled boats also have batteries in them, right? I don't think so. But let me read you the transcript. You can click to the next one because it should have the transcript. So I said, this is Trump, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question. It must be because MIT. See, I even added a word because I can't read his incoherent thinking. And it must because of MIT. His uncle worked at MIT. That's what makes him smart, apparently. My relationship to MIT, very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen? He goes, I say, great way to start a sentence. What would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery and the battery's now underwater and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Did you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood what she was. These people are cray. He said, there's no problem with sharks. Pause. Okay, that's the right side. So we're good. Let me just scrape this up a little bit. Okay, a young woman. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted if the boat's sinking? Water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, no one's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark. And then he continues on without finishing that word. So the ramblings of a madman, and with tanks and with boats, not understanding how they work, he's very concerned with batteries. Next clip from the speech, go ahead.
You know, I got the Man of the Year in Michigan years ago, long before politics, like 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah, that one was shorter than I expected. He's been repeating, I saw people respond to this on social media for years now. I got the Michigan Man of the Year award. There is no record in any organization of any award being given to Donald Trump in Michigan that's anything close to the Man of the Year award. He just invented it, just like this terrible situation. I saw one person respond to the boat electrocution story by saying, I'm a one-issue voter. What would I do if I had the decision between getting electrocuted or getting bitten by a shark? So Trump just won my vote. You can play the next one.
Soldiers. And he said, sir. He couldn't breathe. I said, are you okay in that beautiful suit?
Sir. These are just a few miscellaneous out of context moments, so you can play this next one.
And you know who owns the car plants being built in Mexico? China!
China! Oh, that's kind of satisfying. That's like Alex Jones's, China! Okay, and then this next one is something that reminded me of a past out of context moment were these current ones, so you can play that one.
She grabs it. Mom, I'm going to make you so proud, Mom. She's watching her. Then she gets down. And they're proud, they're clapping, they're going crazy. I can't do it, Mom, I can't. Mom, this is not presidential when you do the weightlifting. This is not presidential.
Right, but he keeps doing it anyways. Mommy. So that's strange. Let's see, so here's the deal. If you're wondering, I look a little bit frantic, I get it. I can't find my tongs. So we're gonna try to do a fork flip here. This is what they call down in Texas, where I grew up. A fork flip is what they call it. Not everyone can have tongues like you, what do they call it? East Coast lib elites. Okay, you can, let's see, play this next one.
All this money into the Green New scam. It's a scam, one of the greatest scams in history. Although I think Zelensky is maybe the greatest salesman of any politician that's ever lived. Every time he comes to our country, he walks away with $60 billion. And I like him. You know, on the impeachment hoax #1, he was very good. He said, no, the president didn't threaten me at all. He could have been a grandstander and said, I was threatened, right, Matt? He could have said, I was threatened. So I like him. But he's the greatest salesman of all time. He walks in. So now here's the beauty. He just left 4 days ago with $60 billion. And he gets home and he announces that he needs another $60 billion, else it never ends. It never ends. I will have that settled prior to taking the White House as president-elect. I will have that settled. Got to stop it. Would it never happen?
Yeah, so one of the things that Trump can't answer is what would you actually do, pragmatically, if you took over as president and had to deal with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now it's become a MAGA characteristic to only call it the war in Ukraine, to try to take away the responsibility of Putin for actually being the one continuing this every day by invading another sovereign country. But he can't actually have a policy stance on it because too much of his party just hates Ukraine for the reasons we've previously talked about. So instead it has to be, oh, we don't even have to wonder what I would do because I would just end it magically. But he's yet to explain in any meaningful way how that would exactly work. And publicly, I should say, he hasn't explained that. Privately, in a meeting with Viktor Orban, the prime minister of, as Trump has said, Turkey, but it's actually of Hungary. And Trump has also said that Hungary borders Russia. Incorrect. So he's confused, but he likes Viktor Orban because Viktor Orban is a strong man and Trump likes strong men. And so Viktor Orban met with him at Mar-a-Lago, and when he left, it was reported that Viktor Orban was telling everyone, oh, this is great. Trump said he's gonna, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially Trump said he's just gonna give whatever Putin wants to Putin, be supportive as the most powerful country on the planet, the United States, in Russia just aggressing and taking over the territory they'd like to. That's what he told Viktor Orban. So if that's the plan to end it before he even becomes president, then that's horrible and deranged and not exactly the magic that he's portraying it to be. All right, go ahead with that next one.
He had no idea where the hell he was. He's watching a parachute land and he turns around to look at trees.
So as the guy who just got the name of the White House doctor who gave him a cognitive test wrong in a story that was supposed to prove how cognitively there he was, I think he should be a little bit more humble. But also, that story of Biden, he wandered away. That's my new people being rude to Biden voice. Oh my God, what's happening with Biden? That story was based on them cropping the video where you couldn't see that there were other people off frame he was waving at. And so world leaders were over here talking to this one parachuter. Biden, I guess because he wanted to give some other people attention too, he looked this direction and interacted with these parachuters, but they cropped the video very specifically so you couldn't see those other service members that he was trying to give his respect to. Just like whenever he tried to turn around and say, not say anything, but honor the veterans who were behind him at the Normandy event, they also pretended like he was somehow getting lost and they cut that video very particularly. So often he's doing these things that I think would be something people appreciate, but they find ways to make it a storyline about him being confused. And I can't remember, I think it must have been Ron Filipkowski or Aaron Rupar doing great work all the time. I don't need two of these, but they said this is sort of the way that these right-wing narratives get going. A fringe right-wing account cuts a video stupidly, then it gets bolstered, I'm forgetting now, maybe by Fox News, and then all of a sudden Trump's on stage, presidential candidate, telling a lie about Biden getting lost when he obviously wasn't lost. This same sort of thing happened with the invisible chair thing, where they cut out the part where you can see Biden sitting down to make it look like he was trying to sit in an invisible chair. Don Jr. goes out and pretends like Biden was sitting in an invisible chair, and it's just not accurate. Now, I'm gonna let you peek behind the curtain a little bit and explain why today I have cheese. We're getting crazy, so get ready. We have cheese and salsa. Not just, I see some people, oh, Luke, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. Feel free to let me know about that stuff in the comments. If you suggested cheese and salsa, you're today's winner. Because I agree, it's gonna get a little boring if I make the exact same thing. So I'll venture out. Step one is just adding a little bit. And also every day, my wonderful producer Jaden, who if you watched the videos that came out yesterday, you saw him doing the subscribe plug, so you got to meet Jaden. He has been wonderfully setting out the ingredients that I need for the show. And every day, even though I only make bacon and egg, he's been setting out cheese, which I was confused by because I never used the cheese. And then he explained to me today, often if I eat one taco and I'm not in the mood for the second one, he'll eat that taco, so he keeps hoping I'll be making tacos that he'll like more. And so today we're gonna do that. I'm not a huge fan of cheese, but we're gonna take a risk for Jaden. And then also some salsa, because we're getting a little bit crazy, a little bit fruity for Pride Month. Wait, let's see. Okay. Shh. There we go. Is that enough? I don't want it to be too intense. And with that being said, this is gonna get sloppy. We might have to cut this off a little before I actually take a bite down. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.